Hello again. We're back with another Vancouver Island real estate podcast. Today we want to talk about a little bit of speculation, something that's been on the books, something that they've been thinking about doing for a long time now, but this might be the summer that it finally comes together.
It seems like something exactly. If you're on the island, you probably already know what we're talking about. We're talking about the fast ferry, just the foot traffic ferry that's going to be coming from downtown Nanaimo to downtown Vancouver, Cole Harbour, I believe it is.
Quick phone call.
Yeah, anyway. But anyways, from downtown Nanaimo to downtown Vancouver. Something similar to the Clipper they have in Victoria going down to Seattle. This is something, if you're, a Nanaimo person, we've heard about a lot over the last, Trevor said, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Yeah. But it seems like this is the year where it's going to happen. Reading some of the articles out there, it seems like this really might be the time to have it. It would be great because it's an hour from here to downtown Vancouver.
Yeah, that's what they're anticipating. It's interesting because they've kept things pretty vague so far. So the plan is basically from downtown Nanaimo, basically where the seaplane is, if you're familiar with the helijet or ferry terminal, the cruise ship terminal. I think that's the anticipated launch point to be able to come from. And from there, it's supposed to go direct from downtown Nanaimo direct to Cole Harbour in Vancouver. So obviously a huge change if you're used to taking BC ferries from Departure Bay or Duke Point, where if you're going the Departure Bay route, it's about an hour, 40 minutes from Nanaimo to Vancouver, and not even downtown Vancouver.
And then you're half an hour driving to downtown still, right?
Yeah, so even then. So that's where, a lot of excitement's around this fast ferry. Hoping this is actually the year to do it.
Well, I was reading some articles before we did this, and it seems from, the Nanaimo Now news article on January 26th that the ferry's being built in Vietnam, and it's 95% done.
Okay.
So they're just doing some final touches and walkthroughs and stuff on it. And it fits, if I'm not wrong, it was 300 people or something, 295 people, 300 people on a catamaran-style boat or whatever, something along those lines. But yeah, if they're building in Vietnam, so they say, obviously if you've already built it, then obviously hopefully it's actually going to come this year and it's going to be a real thing, and we'll have a lot more access to the mainland. Not that we don't have enough, but I think it's just a big thing, and it'll be a cheaper form of transportation than the seaplane, which is $90.
Yeah, it's 115 for a one-way ticket. So it will be interesting. It definitely will change things a lot. I'd be curious to see how it impacts property values and people going back and forth. I was chatting with a few of my clients actually yesterday about this, about the potential foot ferry, and they were saying, obviously, you're going to get a lot of people who are interested in going from Nanaimo to Vancouver to do some shopping and checking out the downtown. But it seems like, is there enough of an appetite for people from Vancouver coming to Nanaimo to check things out in our downtown? And
I would say, you think about when I go home to visit family, and you go to visit family, say a long weekend, right? And I know obviously it's more of a vacation thing, but you go home to visit, and the ferry's busy going to Vancouver. But when you land there, it's also hundreds and hundreds of cars coming to Nanaimo and the island as well, right?
That's
Whether
true.
they're going to Nanaimo or they're going up island or down island. Mm-hmm. I think there'll definitely be an appetite for it, especially think about someone if you're a younger person, and we always talk about commutes in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Your commute's very similar now if you have a fast ferry over there.
Yeah, well, especially if you're looking at the scheduling, if it's pretty regular sailings, and it could open up a lot more job opportunities where people who maybe are living in Nanaimo are now able to potentially look at some potential jobs in Vancouver.
Yeah, you're an hour transit ride, I guess you could say. But they said for the staffing wise to the fast ferry, they're gonna have 60 employees. So hopefully that would mean some regular scheduled, some daily 6 a.m. and then you're on a 10 a.m. or whatever it is, right?
That would be nice, especially to see when they're running these, what the cost is going to be. I've seen numbers thrown around of $60 for a ticket, but curious to see what the pricing would be for this type of service.
15 or $20.
That'd be nice. The BC ferries, it's $18 for walk on, which is it always seems every year they find an excuse to raise the price a little bit more.
But it used to be 15 when I first started coming here, $15 or $14.80 or something.
Yeah,
this has gone up a bit. I don't know. I guess it's hard to kind of really determine the price, because you said the appetite for people coming back this way as well, right?
Yeah, and that's a big thing, and it's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing, where is it you want to revitalize and put a bunch of effort into improving the Nanaimo downtown with the anticipation that it's going to get more people from Vancouver to make the trip over to Nanaimo to check things out? Or do you improve on the accessibility, like the fast ferry, and make it a lot easier for people to come by. And then with the extra traffic, hopefully that gives more incentive to make some of the improvements for downtown. I know for a long time, the council, the current Nanaimo City Council that was elected, a big program and a big thing that they're pushing forward was putting a lot of money and upgrades into the waterfront, where you're basically, the plan was to have downtown Nanaimo all the way to Hammond Bay, Departure Bay area, all walk on, whether, something kind of similar to the seawall in Vancouver. But I feel that there's been a lot of roadblocks with that, obviously, no real progress on that type of a project, which it's something I feel that it's pretty unanimous with everyone in the area wanting something like that to be around here. It
would be nice for sure. I would think maybe the only pushback you get is like the property owners of like in the Departure Hammond Bay area, because they have walk on, not walk on, but down their stairs to the waterfront in Departure Bay Hammond Bay area, right?
Especially like Solaire area.
Yeah, right. So like that would maybe be the only kind of hurdle you could run into, and the ferry being there, like getting around the ferry, I guess, like how you'd walk that.
Yeah,
but
it's interesting to think of, but Nanaimo does have the potential to have one of the longest waterfronts on Vancouver Island if that was something that was done. Of course, there's always that stereotype of every small town feels like they have an underutilized waterfront. But I think that Nanaimo in particular, there is a walking path, or a larger walking path along the Old Island Highway that basically, if you're looking on going down, heading northbound, where you're passing the golf course, you see on the left there's this huge walking path that is used quite regularly. It's you see a lot of people using it for walks and biking, and it's not a very attractive view. You're looking at a highway, or you're looking at a ditch on your left hand side.
The train tracks,
But obviously, I think there's an appetite for more walkability and more ability to ride a bike from Departure Bay to downtown, or from Departure Bay to the north end, or wherever else. And I think that's something that's really lacking for our area.
And I wonder, on our side of things, is if you were to get that walkway, you think of the seawall and some of the townhouses and condos and stuff they have around the seawall, is what kind of appetite would be as you get to where the Nanaimo kind of like the boat yard is, and the yacht club and stuff like that.
Oh, like by Stewart Ave.
Yeah, Stewart Ave there. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. But yeah, so kind of how they have some of the oceanfront condos and townhouses there.
Those are nice.
You able to develop more of that, or more restaurant kind of stuff as well, right? Like commercial on the bottom, and you have some residential above as well, right?
Well, it's like, you hear there's so many, we do have a lot of amazing restaurants. Like one that has been getting a ton of praise is Harangue over in the north end. And of course, same owners, Nori, and a few other spots that get a ton of attention, but it's kind of, and you go to like Cactus Club on Turner Road, and I think those are kind of the main ones that people go to, especially in the north end. But we have such potential, like that Lighthouse Bistro on the waterfront.
Right, the views. Like you think of when you talk about this fast ferry going to Cole Harbor, it's like you have the Cactus Club right there, big train restaurant, but it has this beautiful view of the water. Like with the potential for the waterfront in Nanaimo, there should be more restaurants in that downtown area that are really on the water. Like Carlos O'Brien's, like more of a kind of pub, kind of hangout thing at the pool table upstairs and stuff. But great view, nice to be there in the summer. They have the outdoor kind of fireplaces and stuff like
boats
that.
Pull up.
Exactly, it's great. But I think they should have just restaurants all along there taking advantage of that.
Totally agree.
But anyways, I was going to ask you, back to this fast ferry stuff. And our side of things is, how do you think this affects the Nanaimo real estate? I mean, obviously it affects more the downtown area because that's what people are going to be walking on, but property value, stuff like that. How do you think it affects? Positive, negative? Probably positive,
totally positive in my opinion. I a little biased, is I'm someone that lives right in downtown Nanaimo as well, and I'm in a condo building that does have a lot of people that like being in the central location because of, you just lock the door and walk away. And I feel like we would get a lot more of the potential commuters going from Nanaimo to Vancouver. And it's something where I think that might be, we'd have to see whether the success of the fast ferry is something that is consistent. And if it is something where, we have a good scheduling, they don't shut it down after a couple of months, and it's actually something that seems like it's going to stick around, I could see it having a massive impact. We've already seen people who are used to making the commute from Burnaby or Surrey, or where it's an hour or two drive from the surrounding neighborhoods or communities of Vancouver, and they're commuting to Vancouver every day with an hour or more for travel time.
Yeah, I had one client in Abbotsford that would go to Vancouver, which you think your highway went all the way through,
goodness.
right? So, and I also wonder if it would open up the appetite for people to, say if you're wanting to move to Vancouver from Alberta, wherever you are, right? And you're like, well, Vancouver's still super overpriced for living in the prairies, and you can get a house for like $300K.
Yeah.
Well, I can move to Nanaimo and then be within like, you know, a half an hour ferry ride, or at least at a stone's throw essentially, to get back to Vancouver and work, or just like visit, vacation, live that lifestyle, and then still be on the island and like live somewhat affordably still.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And on the you know, the not my backyard side of things, you do see some people who are a little bit concerned about, you know, will Nanaimo end up becoming just you know, in even more west of Vancouver, where it's becomes just more of a community or a suburb of Vancouver, and not as much its own individual identity. And that's something where, you know, that would be one thing if there was a bridge, the classic.
Yeah, I don't think like Nanaimo was just so different from what you think Vancouver. There's not really, besides like the waterfront side, there's not a lot of similarities in the sense of like this way different lifestyle in Vancouver from living there to moving here.
Yeah.
It's just so different, like the historical, like the homes and all that kind of stuff you have here in Nanaimo on the island, and they different from Vancouver, especially West Vancouver. I definitely don't think I could never really see that happening. Yeah, but I mean,
you know, accessibility changes a lot, and that's something that it'd be really interesting to see what this does. And you know, fingers crossed. They've been saying, you know, next summer for every year for
summer 2023,
like the 90s, but
it seems like this could be the year.
Yeah, so fingers crossed. Really hope that this is something that we get to see soon. And, you know, hopefully we don't make this video every year for the next 20 more years.
Yeah, no, I think it would be great. And I hope they have good food on the ferry too.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be good.
But I think overall, I think in that downtown area, it's definitely going to be a positive thing for that.
Yeah.
And just to open up, like, I think it's just going to open up the island even more in the sense of like what's possible. And like a lot of people still don't know a lot about the island. Like being in Vancouver, they've never been there, right? It's like when people in the States are like, "Oh, you live in Canada, hey? Like, what's that? Like, what's that like?"
Yeah, and it's basically
and they have no idea this huge, you know, this huge country. That's like they have no idea what it's like.
They've heard of maybe Toronto, maybe Montreal
Vancouver,
or Vancouver,
but like they've never been there.
Yeah,
I think there's some people in Vancouver that are like, "Oh, the island! I've never been there. It sounds cool."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
totally.
So like a weekend trip or a day trip for some people in Vancouver. Like, "Oh wow, the island's actually pretty sweet."
Yeah, absolutely. So you know, fingers crossed. We'll definitely keep you guys updated if we do see any progress on this. So far, it's been pretty minimal for updates, other than the boat's getting close to being built, and hopefully by the summertime we're going to have something up and running.
And we'll maybe hop on it and take a video.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So hopefully the next update we have is actually on one of these foot ferries. So, well,
that's kind of it for us today, guys. So appreciate you guys watching our videos. Like always, you know, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and let us know what other stuff you want us to cover.
All right. Until next time.
I'll have your little wave there, Trev.
Yeah, always.